Number 3, survey the damage. Identify exactly what you're forgiving. And this is hard for the victim. I have young women who've come up to me, and older women too, and they've talked to me about things they need to forgive. And when I get down to it, what they need to forgive has ugly names like rape, like violent, aggravated physical assault. And until they can put names to it, they cannot fully forgive it because they're not calling it what it is. And there is a shift in a person from victim to survivor when they are finally able to form the words in their mouth of what really happened to them. Because then it no longer chains them down. The unspoken names for it is no longer a mantle of darkness. When they put it out, it breaks a power. Abusers love, I kind of already mentioned this, but abusers love to get you to treat every incident as an isolated event rather than a piece of the pattern or the system of abuse. In order to avoid enabling, you must survey the damage fully, including the patterns and the systems involved. Forgive and forget keeps you a victim and an enabler. The damage may include, and this is where we went through the video. If you were here this morning, we showed a video that just in 2 minutes went through the different types of abuse. And just after this, I'm going to do a 9-minute video on the 12 forms of abuse. It explains it more concisely and without rambling or thinking of extra stories better than I could talking to you in any way, because I will just find other things to say. It's just the way it is. So but this damage that needs to be forgiven may include children, culture, emotions, finances, intellect, property and pets, physical damage, psychological damage, sexual damage, social, spiritual, verbal. These are the 12 forms of domestic violence, and they all emanate from a 13th core, and that is a sense of entitlement to power. No one abuses someone else unless they believe that they have the power and the right and the entitlement to do so. Abuse of power is where Lucifer began, and it is no different today. So if we can turn the lights down, let's go ahead and play that video.
Do you know the signs of the 12 types of abuse, also known as the 12 forms of domestic violence? Only one leaves bruises. Do you feel scared, isolated, confused, off balance, betrayed, like you never know what's coming next? Do you find yourself second-guessing what you know that you've seen, heard, or felt because someone else makes you doubt yourself and feel like you're crazy? Does your intimate partner do hurtful things and then say sorry, make up, and promise to never repeat it until the next time it happens? When you're in the middle of an abusive situation, sometimes it's hard to recognize the signs. Here are some of the common signs of the 12 different types of domestic violence. Child abuse, threatening to harm your children, threatening to take your children away in order to get you to do what they want, refusing to comply with child support payments, using your children as leverage, belittling you or insulting you in front of the children, using your children to keep you silent, abusing your children. Cultural abuse, using culture as an excuse for abuse or mistreatment, putting down your culture, forcing you to accept or embrace their cultural practices, isolating you from mainstream cultural practices, using their culture or your culture to keep you silent, using language barriers to isolate you, not providing translation when you can't understand. Emotional abuse, incessant teasing, invalidating your feelings, using guilt to manipulate you, blaming you for everything, acting jealous and maybe calling it protective, threatening you, withholding affection, waking you up from your sleep, stalking your whereabouts, stalking your social media or electronic devices, giving you the silent treatment. Financial abuse, limiting your access to the money, not sharing bank accounts, requiring an account of every penny you spend, making you ask for spending money or household money, controlling all the income and cash flow, making all financial decisions without you, closing accounts without telling you, creating debt you didn't know about or agree with, wasting resources, not paying child support, taking care of their own needs but neglecting yours or the children's, calling welfare to interfere with your income, confiscating your income or cash. Intellectual abuse, saying you're so oversensitive, telling you you're crazy, manipulating information or facts, attacking your ideas, devaluing your opinions, demanding perfection, playing mind games, making you prove everything, shaming your tastes, insulting your education, dumbing you down. Pets and property abuse, destroying property, breaking or smashing things, punching walls, slamming doors, hurting or threatening to hurt your pets, damaging your car, confiscating your car keys, keeping your identification or driver's license, controlling your access to GPS or computers, phones, or electronics, selling items without telling you, selling your things without telling you, keeping cash from selling those things, or threatening to do any of the above. Physical abuse, driving too fast and recklessly, slapping or hitting, kicking, punching, or biting, pinching or twisting, restraining you, choking you, spitting on you, intimidating you with actions or gestures, throwing things at you, using items other than their hands to hurt you, locking you out of the house, making you sleep outside, blocking exits, or not letting you leave. Psychological abuse, saying things and then denying it later. That's called gaslighting. Intimidating you with words or gestures or actions, displaying weapons, threatening to commit suicide if you don't do what they want, threatening to hurt you, threatening to kill you, minimizing their actions or threats after the fact, making it sound like you misunderstood or made it up, controlling your access to food, dictating what you can and cannot eat, using gestures or body language to control you through fear. Sexual abuse, using pornography, demanding that you use pornography, demanding sex as payment, withholding sex, criticizing your body sexually, comparing your sexuality to others, having an affair, threatening to have an affair, forcing sex even within marriage, manipulating sex even within marriage, sexual put-downs, sexually abusing others. Social abuse, isolating you from friends, isolating you from family, monitoring your phone calls, monitoring your emails or social media, monitoring your mileage, controlling who you are allowed to see or talk to, controlling your freedom to work, controlling your access to getting an education, keeping you at home, not allowing equal access to social interaction, telling you not to talk about your relationship or your challenges or problems with other people. Spiritual abuse, using scripture to excuse abusive behavior, using scripture to manipulate you, twisting scripture to gain power, putting down your beliefs, isolating you from your faith community, using their church to gain an advantage over you, refusing to get counseling, dictating who you are allowed to see for counseling, using scripture to keep you silent, other soul-destroying behaviors. Verbal abuse, calling you names, swearing at you, yelling or screaming, using sarcasm to put you down, being condescending, insulting you, body shaming you, cutting you off in conversation, telling you to be quiet around other people, intimidating you to keep you silent. If you are experiencing any of these 12 types of domestic violence and your church isn't listening, there is help. If you are physically afraid, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. If you need to flee a dangerous environment, they can direct you to your nearest shelter. If you are a pastor or a church leader, there is someone in your church who is experiencing these forms of abuse, and they need your compassion and help. If you are just beginning to realize that you're living or working in an abusive environment and you want help to find healing, get connected with faith-based counselors and coaches at abidecounseling.us. Follow Sarah McDugal on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for emotional healing resources as you learn to leave your woundedness behind and live wild.
Here's what's at the center of that. And this is very small on my iPad here. It's probably too small for anyone to read up to, I'm guessing. Yeah, it is. So power is the spoke in the center of that wheel. By the way, did you enjoy that video? Yeah. Does it break things down and make it clearer? Very often, I find that when someone is just beginning to realize they know things are bad, they know things are just, it's just not right, but I can't put my finger on it. Watching something like this with all of those illustrations helps them to say, oh, that thing, when this happened, is that what that was? And you can walk them through understanding the fog of chaos and crazy that has been created around them, to help them doubt their own sanity and doubt their own understanding of reality, to keep them dependent on the person who's doing the abusing. This kind of video is very, very helpful. By the way, I have 3 of these. There's a third one that has not been shared. There was one this morning during church, and then there's this one, and they're all on my YouTube channel. I have close to 200 videos on my YouTube channel that are devotionals, inspirational, or directly related to domestic violence and abuse education. So if you search Sarah McDugal on YouTube, you will find those as well. And welcome to subscribe to the channel. We put out a lot of stuff regularly. So power abuse, though, I'm just going to hold this very close to my eyes. Oh my goodness, that's like, do I need bifocals? Goodness. Someone who has a power and entitlement complex is someone who creates chaos and conflict by turning people against each other and misrepresenting situations. None of us have ever been in a board meeting wherever that happened, right? No, I didn't think so. Someone who twists past events to gain control. Someone who's a credit hog. They act like they're the ones who get everything done, and they don't give healthy credit to other people where it's due. Someone who has delusions of grandeur. They believe they are smarter, wiser, stronger, richer, more powerful than they actually are. Someone who refuses to get counseling or refuses to allow their spouses to get counseling. Someone who projects their addictions as their spouse's fault without taking responsibility. It's the classic Adam, Eve made me do it. Someone who is racist, elitist, someone who diminishes or ridicules other people's cultures, colors, genders, age, status, and believes that their own anything on that list is superior to anyone else's. Someone who's obsessed with being respected, and they may get aggressive to peers or children or the elderly if they believe someone is acting with disrespect. Someone who's entitled, who acts as if they're better than others, that others should give way to their preferences, others should take care of their needs, and there's 2 sets of rules, the ones that apply to everyone else, and then the rules that don't apply to me. We all know somebody somewhere, or a few more, that are like that. The book, The Sociopath Next Door, I think it's The Sociopath Next Door, by Martha Stout, says that 1 in every 25 people in the world today is a full-blown sociopath. Now, that does not mean that all sociopaths become serial killers or rapists or murderers or homicidal maniacs. It means that they don't have conscience. And every human has different proclivities, interests, a different background, different things that shape them. But someone can be the type of person who just doesn't feel bad at all about stealing supplies from their office at work. And that is a sociopathic trait. The lack of a conscience. 1 in people are sociopaths. How many people go to church here? 300 or 400? Well, let's see. 4 per 100. You have an entire small group's worthy of sociopaths right here in your church. Remember that next time you're trying to figure out why something just can't be figured out. You know what? I joke around with other survivors and groups because sometimes we have a little bit of a different sense of humor, and we say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it gives you a very dark and twisted sense of humor. It's how you cope. Number 4. So now that we have outlined all of those things, those are the things that you help someone who is a victim of abuse to go through. Those are things you may, in some part of your own life, need to go through and assess from what someone has done to you, for some toxic relationship, in order to realize clearly what you are forgiving. Write it down, journal it, pray over it, share it with a trusted friend, or don't. Do it however works for you. But those are options. As you are processing through things you have experienced, get to the point where you can call it by name in order to forgive.